please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, so it's time for another lineup projection video here, and we are almost done with the play-in round teams. So I am going to do the top 4 teams in each conference, the round robin teams after this, but we are getting close to being done with the play-in round teams, just a couple left to do, and today we're going to do the Edmonton Oilers. So basically what I do is I go through Edmonton's roster and try to piece together a lineup of what their team could look like, or what their lineup could look like at the beginning of the play-in round when they play against the Chicago Blackhawks. I talk about where I would put guys, where the team's most likely to put guys, and just different lineup options that they have, and overall what I think their starting lineup will be. So before we get started, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, as both of those things really help out a lot and are much appreciated. But let's switch over to the cap-friendly screen and start looking at the Edmonton Oilers here. So here we go. We're on Cap Friendly now, taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers roster here and just what their lineup could look like. Starting with the forward group, obviously Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, your 1-2 punch down the middle, and the Draisaitl line, I am keeping the same. Nugent Hopkins on the left side, Yamamoto on the right side. They have played so well this year. There's no reason to break that up, no reason to mess with that at all. So that line, I think, is pretty well set and staying the same. Now, who's going to play with McDavid? Certainly think that Zach Kassian will be on the right side of Connor McDavid, as he has been for much of this year. He's that physical presence. He's that protector for Connor McDavid. And obviously a really physical guy that is not afraid to stand up for his teammates. So that's a great guy to have with McDavid, and he can score. Kassian had a decent year offensively this year. He can score. So obviously you want someone that can put the puck in the net playing with Connor McDavid. Kassian brings some offense to the game. On the left side, I'm putting Andreas Athanasiou up there, at least to start, and see how it goes, because Andreas Athanasiou has the speed and is one of the few players in the NHL that has the speed to play with Connor McDavid. Out of anyone else, any other wingers on this roster, I am giving Athanasiou the first shot to play with Connor McDavid. Just because of the speed and the offensive ability there to play with him and go up and down the ice alongside him. I think Athanasiou is the best fit. Other options they have, they could potentially put Tyler Ennis up there if they wanted to. Ennis could certainly play, and then Athanasiou would most likely drop down to the third line or fourth line. But that, again, possible. But James Neal's another possibility. You could potentially put James Neal up with McDavid, but for me, the number one, who am I putting with Connor McDavid? My first choice is Andreas Athanasiou, and then if you need to make an adjustment, you could make an adjustment after that. Third line, I have James Neal on the left side. He really can play both sides, and he's played on the left quite a bit this year. Riley Sheahan in the middle, and Josh Archibald on the right side, and then that leaves your fourth line with Jujhar Khaira down the middle. And I have Tyler Ennis on the left side and Alex Chiasson on the right side. But again, those are very interchangeable. They have a lot of options here. There's a lot of guys that they could throw in. Joakim Nygard played quite a bit this year. He could easily hop in on the left side for somebody, whether it's Ennis, whether it's... I doubt it's going to be Neal. It would probably be Ennis if he gets into the lineup. You would probably put Nygard there on the fourth line and drop Ennis out, but... Again, you know, they've got options. Gaishen Haas here, he's played this year. He could go in either for Khaira in the middle or Riley Sheahan. Definitely possible there. I think I would start with him out. Sheahan's been around the league a long time. Khaira's a big body and a physical player, and obviously you need that in the playoffs. So I really want him as my fourth line center, which would then drop Haas out as an extra forward. And on the right side, you've got Archibald, Chiasson. I think Kassian and Yamamoto obviously are locks for the lineup, but Archibald, Chiasson, and Russell, you could do any combination of those guys. You could drop Chiasson out and put Russell in. You could drop Archibald out. They've got options with the depth guys on this team for sure. And then some guys from down in the minor leagues who will probably get called up when we get expanded rosters. Tyler Benson, he's put together a couple of really good AHL seasons. Hasn't had a lot of chance at the NHL level, but has been a good scorer in the AHL. He'll get a call up most likely. Cooper Marody and Ryan McLeod possibly in the middle. Tomas Yurko, another guy with NHL experience. He'll probably get called up as an extra winger. So that's your forward group, I think. Moving on to defense and goaltending here. Obviously, Mike Smith is the starter. He's been your number one guy this year. He's played the big games for Edmonton. Him and Koskinen have pretty much split, but Smith has played the big games for the most part. And he's played well for them this year. So I think Mike Smith will get the first crack as the starter. Koskinen is the backup. And then the third goalie is probably going to be Stuart Skinner, who was the starter down in the AHL this year. He'll get the call as the number 3. As far as defense pairs goes, now that they're back healthy again, they've got some options. This defense had injury issues with Russell, Mike Green. Some others had injury problems this year. But now that they're back healthy again, I think certainly Larson and Clefbaum is your top pair. Without a doubt, those two play really, really well together. And I think your two, top D-men. Darnell Nurse and Ethan Bear, they have played a lot together this year, and I really think that you keep that duo together. Ethan Bear's a rookie, but he played very, very well this season. I like him a lot. And then for your bottom pair, you've got options because Caleb Jones has also played quite a bit this season. Matthew Benning, I was right the first time. Matthew Benning has played a little bit this year. He certainly could get a look. But I think you start with the veterans. Chris Russell, he can move over and play the left side. He's a guy that's played both sides in his career. And Mike Green, you did not go out at the trade deadline to get Mike Green for nothing. I think now if he's healthy, he's in the lineup. If he's not in the lineup, then I think Chris Russell probably moves back to this right side and Caleb Jones slots in on the left side. And you go with Jones and Russell as your bottom pair. But if Mike Green's healthy, I think you put him in the lineup. He's a veteran guy and brings some offense to this D-core. You move Chris Russell to the left side and put Mike Green there on the bottom pair with him. And that leaves Caleb Jones as your 7th defenseman. Matthew Benning's played this year. Evan Bouchard, I'll put Benning above Bouchard, but Bouchard's a young guy, obviously first-round pick from a couple years ago who will at least get a call-up most likely. Then Brandon Manning could potentially get called up. William Lagesson, Ryan Mantha. They've got other guys that, with the expanded rosters, depending on how many defensemen they want on the roster, they could potentially call up. But I think Benning, Jones, and Bouchard would probably be certainly getting a look. And then these three are just potential extras. But I think to at least start, you want to go with a veteran group. You want to go with a solid group and guys that have played well and played together this year. So I think with a healthy defense, it's definitely Larson, Clefbaum, Nurse, Bear is your top 4. And then Green, Russell, I have as the bottom pair, but you certainly could make an adjustment there if needed. In the forward groups, like I said, I think the top 6, other than who plays the left side with McDavid, they've got a couple of options there. But other than that, I think the top 6 is pretty well set. You're going to keep this Draisaitl line together. Cassian's going to be on McDavid's right wing. And then the depth guys, the 3rd and 4th line, they have a lot of different options with that. So I just threw this together, but they certainly have a lot of options. They could put any of these 3 guys in the lineup in place of one of those bottom 6 guys. Nygaard, Haas, or Russell could all end up playing potentially. So Oilers, have options within the depth department. But we certainly know that it's going to be the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl show in Edmonton. Those are the 2 that run this team. This team is heavily reliant on them to be the best players on the ice, and more times than not, they are the best players on the ice. So that's pretty much what I've got for Edmonton here, guys. Obviously, an interesting team to look at, and a team that is largely driven by their centers, particularly their top 2, and then, a lot of moving parts on the wings most of the time, with the exception of that Draisaitl line where Nugent Hopkins on the left and Yamamoto on the right. As Yamamoto's emerged this year, that's become a very consistent line. So They play Chicago in the play-in series. It should be a lot of fun to watch. They're a 5 seed. Chicago's a 12, and there are still a lot of people thinking that Chicago could really pull an upset here. I like the Oilers personally. I think they could really make a run this year. I think they're a good team, and they made some great moves at the deadline. But we'll have to wait and see. But they obviously this lineup is driven by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.